Major League Journeyman, we got some recapping to do. We got the Club World Cup and one of maybe arguably the better games that you'll see all year long in Chelsea PSG. A result I don't think a lot of people saw coming. We also chop it up with a little All-Star Game banter because Gordo and I have a ton of experience here in the 7 interviews that we've done at the All-Star Games. But we also need to jump in and chat MLS because there are a number of games that are happening. Just great rivalries. Which one is the best in your opinion right now? Major League Journeyman, we have returned from a whole week, one entire week of rest and relaxation. You can just see it in Dax's cheeks and Gordo's mustache. My goodness. Dax, the sunshine, it's got to be bright down there in New Jersey. How are we lathering up? How are we doing? Are we okay?
I've gone through a record 4 full sunscreen bottles in 2 weeks. I'm protecting this skin, this alabaster skin that so clearly needs it. I have a nice pinkish hue. Kaylin Kyle on set the other day to me said, you came back from vacation. You don't look very tan. And Kevin Egan says, oh, he's got an Irish tan. There's a sunburn.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a burn.
I was like,
I'm just waiting to see some veins popping through at some point here. They got to start showing through because it's just really a spotlight for you.
I don't tan. I pink. That's what I do.
You look like a nice baby's bottom, but in the best way possible.
Thank you.
Gordo, how's that mustache coming in, man? You're looking more and more handsome by the day.
I appreciate that, Gargs. Yeah, it's coming in nice and thick, right where I want it to be coming into the end of summer here.
Yeah, sounds about right. You're rounding into form, mid-season, rounding into form. I like it.
Are you fishing? Are you fishing for a compliment on that salt and pepper beard or what?
Oh, me? No, this is just a lot of wisdom right in here, guys.
Yeah.
This is earned. This is earned, boys. You know this.
That shit is strong.
Right around the same time that Gordo started to play in the season, he finally got through his preseason aches and ailments. Every once in a while, he'd grace us with presence, but not in the biggest game of the summer, as Dax has dubbed this. Chelsea versus PSG, Club World Cup, the penultimate game in the entire universe. Infantino and your boy Donnie Trump on the same stage after the game. I mean, there's so many things to unpack here, and I don't want to go too deep into it because we have run, I think, the gambit in our opinions. But I do want to ask you a very pointed soccer question, Dax.
Yep.
With this result, is PSG no longer the undisputed best team in the world?
No, they are the best team in the world still.
Okay.
But the caveat that they can have a bad day, and not just a bad day, a really bad day. And the way that I would sum up the final, which was a really interesting game, is that Chelsea had their best game of the tournament because actually the way they played in the build-up to this final was good, but it wasn't great. And PSG didn't just have their worst game of the tournament, they had their worst game in months. I think it was potentially their worst game of the entire season.
Yeah.
They were just completely off it. And Chelsea was fantastic. They deserve a ton of credit. But we were shocked in the green room. We were preparing for our MLS shows, and we were watching the game, and we were floored. We couldn't believe what was happening. Cole Palmer went God mode.
They got smoked.
They did. They were disjointed.
Got out-coached.
They got out. Oh, I like that. That's spicy, Gordo. But listen, Chelsea was great. I don't want to take away anything from Chelsea because my expectations going into the game were that PSG were going to dominate. In the knockout round, PSG scored 10 goals and they conceded 0, and they had beaten Real Madrid 4-0. I mean, anyone who's not the most diehard Chelsea fan would have said going into that game, PSG is the favorite and the heavy favorite, which I did. And then
I think diehard Chelsea fans are saying the same thing. You can't watch PSG's run there and also what Chelsea has done, which is not bad, but like to watch
they were
the two of
good.
them,
like I said, they were good. They weren't great. In the final, they were on fire. And I think, Gordo, you can touch on this more. Maresca, he outcoached Luis Enrique. PSG were disjointed, not just in the attacking third, but in their press, which I had been so impressed with in terms of how they defended from the front. Chelsea played through them, sliced through them like butter, especially on that third goal. It was just beautiful to watch. But they are deserved champions, Chelsea, because of what they did. And PSG lost their cool at the end of the game. They went
Mm-hmm.
completely haywire because
Mm-hmm.
I think they realized what a missed opportunity it was and how bad they, for lack of a better term, crapped the bed in the biggest game of their season. But I agree, Gordo. They did get outcoached.
Gordo,
Yeah, I mean,
why was PSG uncomfortable? They looked uncomfortable.
because
Nobody has
because I
made them look uncomfortable in a really long time.
well, because I think for these power clubs, in modern football, you watch all the power clubs, everybody sits back 25 yards out from their goal. They do a block of 8 and they sit back and let them have the ball, which is what they were probably expecting. They pressed them high and they went man to man. And they basically said, "Okay, we're going to stick with you man to man." And now you don't have three open guys everywhere that you can just tiki taka around, keep the ball, and then you can have your way with the game and then work your way in, suck us out, and do all that kind of stuff that typical really good teams do. I think they pressed them high, they gambled, they went man for man, like I said, and then it worked out. And then PSG was disjointed, like Dax said, because they're not used to it. And then when Chelsea won the ball, they were slicing them up because PSG was so open and exposed.
Cole Palmer was excellent, like
He was
truly
excellent.
fantastic. And I
Yeah.
love, there are two things about this game that really stood out to me. Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez, two of the most
Mm-hmm.
expensive transfers in Premier League history that people were like, they haven't shown their value, they haven't shown their worth, they're overpriced, all this different stuff. I'd argue that now you're starting to see them really thrive in this new system, this new formation. It's like a three-box three with Enzo Fernandez kind of in a free role as a left-sided half-space 10, Cole Palmer as the right-sided half-space 10, and they have freedom. They've got width. Joao Pedro looks like a great signing, obviously scoring multiple goals in the semifinal and final. They look really good. And I would say before this season and before this game, I would say Chelsea was going to be challenging for a Champions League spot. I would say if they can replicate this performance and find some consistency, they will be challenging for the title if they play like this week in, week out.
You're beating the best team in the world by a long margin right now.
Yeah.
You gotta, if you're finding some consistency, I think that's an easy branch to stand on, Dax. I don't see that not happening either because they have
Yeah.
arguably the best young player in the world right now in Cole Palmer. The only other thing I wanted to touch on, Gordo, and your answer is going to determine whether or not we Photoshop you out of our final picture like Chelsea did to your boy Donald Trump, is dude, are we heading into just some of the softest expectations in the world in soccer right now? These comments that Infantino made about looking into only playing into indoor air-conditioned spaces for these games are is I was embarrassed to read them. Are you feeling a similar way, or is he on target? Is he off target? Give me where your head's at.
No, he's not on target. He's not on target. It's the summer everywhere. It's not like Qatar was cool, right?
Yeah.
But they're playing games in the middle of the day. And this is just what it is. This is American weather. We're gonna host it. Mexican. I mean, you're gonna get some cooler games in Canada, hopefully, but it can heat up there too.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's soft. And I'm tired of these coaches and players complaining about the weather and the venues in America. This
Dude,
is
it
what
was
it
like
is.
82 degrees, and these guys were complaining like they had never seen the sun before.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, they're
It is
not they're
soft.
it's very soft. It's not going to be a little drizzle in England where you can run a million miles an hour. I mean, it is this is our weather, dude. Like, stop complaining. I think they were just annoyed at the tournament in general. That's what I
Is it,
think.
you think
I
it's
think
just
they
the
were
length of time that you're
it,
training in the heat, you're away from your
yes.
family, you're out of
It's the end of
hotel
the
into the
season
next
for them.
hotel?
They're
You think it
they're
just
used to
wears on you?
being they're used to being in Ibiza at this point in time of the season. They added
First
on
of all, it's
another.
Ibiza.
Oh,
Okay.
Ibiza. They
Pronounce it
added on
properly.
another venue at the end of their season, and it wasn't like years before where this was a preseason trip. They can chill, they can play 35, 45 minutes. They had to go all out, and now they have a shorter off season to do it. And I just think that everybody's kind of venting because they're frustrated.
I have only a couple things to add. I agree it's soft. I'm sick and tired of hearing about the complaints. I hope that by the time the World Cup rolls around, we will have all accepted what the reality is going to be. That there are going to be some games that are really hot and some games that are going to be in air-conditioned stadiums, which, let's be completely honest, that's a small competitive advantage for those teams that get to play in an air-conditioned stadium, who then maybe will play an opponent who played outside in Dallas or in a hotter environment, and then they have to play a game 3 or 4 days later. It's a small competitive advantage, but I just want to once hear a coach and some players come out and say, doesn't matter. We'll play on the surface of the sun. Just let's lace them up and let's go, right? Because that's
You,
what it is. You
yeah,
can't control the schedule. It just go and play. And I know I understand the players are playing a lot more games. They're tired at the end of a long season. Gordo, maybe you're right about them wanting to be done with this tournament, but I saw players who were absolutely thrilled to win this tournament. And I
no,
saw a
they were.
PSG team that completely
Hmm.
lost the plot and was very
Hmm.
upset that they lost the tournament. So it kind of, I want to bring Gargs in on this conversation. I'm stealing the host mic for a second because Gargs had some, me and Gargs went back and forth on this pretty aggressively, and Gargs had some very pointed comments about it being a big airball, a small airball, I'll say. But
It's like
I disagree.
a mid-range air ball.
A mid-range
Good
airball,
right.
fair enough. And look, I thought
Maybe tipped.
it was a really interesting conversation. I thought you made some good points, Gargs, and not enough points to win the argument because I won the argument. But what is your thought now that the tournament is over and it's all buttoned up and you've seen the full picture of what we got? Do you still hold true to what you thought before, or have you slightly changed your tune?
Um, I think I'll revisit my initial comments, and I think that at that point when we started this conversation, I called it an airball, and I also said, in addition to, I love the concept of it. I think it has the potential to finish in a really good spot, but I think the way that it is. One has been delivered, two has been structured, three has been organized, and four has been consumed at that point was really poor for the potential that it had. So going back and probably reliving that, I would probably was a little emotional because I was hearing a ton of stuff from a lot of are there even games going on? Why is this happening? Why? And you're answering these questions. And I felt like there weren't enough people and there wasn't enough information that was prepared to give that information out to the soccer fan base in the United States. It finishes like I had hoped it would. It with a phenomenal final where the result is expected and definitely not given, and you have this tournament that ends up in a really good place. You got to see the best players in the world. You got to see all of the spectrum that is the game. But I still am disappointed because I don't think that it moved the needle enough for me for our soccer fan base really kind of seeing what the potential was there. So I would probably lean maybe a step closer to where you were in loving the event and feeling like it had all that potential, all the potential in the world. But I still feel like it was a big ball dropped and a really, really massive opportunity that they just didn't capitalize on the way that they should have. I think that the concept is still phenomenal. And if you can get MLS teams against the best clubs in the world, quote unquote, and playing in meaningful games in the middle of the summer in the United States in front of our fans, I love it. I absolutely love it. I just think that it needs to be done better.
Gordo?
Yeah, no, I agree with Gargs as I did the first time. For all the reasons that he just said, I agree. I like this tournament being on home soil. I like the ending of it. I think the final is always going to be super exciting. The semifinals were good matchups. Surprising results. However, I just think it felt a little rushed. So maybe somewhere in between a tip shot that became an air ball, that maybe somebody then a center grabs it and then dunks it, maybe that could happen because the ending was good, but the initial shot was just a little bit underwhelming. When you're going to get these teams all in one tournament, there's going to be some good of it. However, our initial stance was just it could have been done better and marketed better to the American soccer fans and not to the club faithfuls from around the world that are going to come travel and spend their summer in America. And that was about
It,
it.
It could always be done better. You two are still Muppets, but I digress. I thought the tournament was great. Obviously, the knockout stage games were even better than the group stage games. I think the support was really good for all the knockout stage games, and the final was good. It was an exciting final. Like you said, Gargs, complete expectation defier in terms of we thought PSG would walk away with it. I love it
Mhm.
when a curveball is thrown in the final. So bravo. Three things, because I think this was a test run for the World Cup. Three things that I want to touch on. Two that I want to see stay, and one that I'm like, get out of here. First, for the World Cup final, the halftime show, I feel like it should stay. Listen, I don't know. I know that people from around the world are going to disagree, but I feel like because the World Cup final is going to be in the US, we have to accept that. We have to embrace it. We have to put our own spin and our own touch on it. And I feel like it gives the players a little bit more time and coaches a little bit more time to recover. And look, let's be honest, the Super Bowl halftime show is what millions and millions of people tune into. I'd love to see it stay for the World Cup. Just give the players an extra 10 minutes. I don't think they're going to get too tight or whatever. So I want that to stay. Just get a dope artist to perform. Second, ref cam has to stay. Has to stay. The ref cam was one of the best parts of the tournament. That angle where from a ref's vantage point in terms of the calls that he's making and the goals that are scored, I think it's really unique. That should stay. Something that I hate and I want to do without is the player walkouts. Get rid of it. It's awful. It takes too much time. Just please go back to the traditional 11 goes out together. Boom, we get it. It's exciting. That for me is a non-negotiable. Can't do the player walkouts. So three
That's our
things, two of them I want to say.
that's our spin too. If
Yeah,
we're
I
gonna
know.
do
We can have
NFL,
our Gordo.
if
We can have our own spin, but not that one.
if we're
That one's bad.
if we're gonna do NFL halftime show, we got to
Dude, I
do
want
NFL walkouts with
No,
dances and shit. They
Dude,
no.
I was
just
gonna say
gotta,
I want an American Gladiator style walkout, and they come out of different parts of the stadium and just like do
One on
backflips
one.
down the
Yeah,
stairs.
okay.
Like, let's go all the way.
lights
The
out.
Man, Dax, you had a lot of credibility right before you went into your three things, and your third one was the only one that's got any value in there. There's you come on, man. That's poor.
You don't think ref cam is amazing?
Dude, the ref cam actually makes me feel sick. I feel like I'm like in a fishbowl and I get like kind of a little nauseous and I'm like, what is happening
This
right
is
now? I
insane.
hate
Insane.
it. I hate it. But I do like the
Sorry that
halftime
you're an
show. I'll
old
give you
man with
halftime show.
cataracts. Sorry
I'll
that you're
give
an
you
old man with cataracts. All right?
and I
Just
can't hear well either. I
go
got
get your eyes fixed. Wear glasses, all right? When the ref cam's coming on, throw your glasses on. You'll be okay, I promise.
I'm gonna have to walk uphill both directions to the stadium. It's tough already. Gordo, I know that you watched one soccer game, Chelsea PSG in the Club World Cup. Did you reach your quota for the weekend, or did you actually catch any MLS games? Where were we at?
Zero
What's the
and
weekend looking like?
oh yeah, I mean, how can you not tune in to Hell is Real? Even if it is,
Ah, you watched our boy Patty Noons.
yeah, because if you don't remember, I picked both of these teams. I picked one for the Supporters Shield and I picked one for the MLS Cup champion.
Checking in on your
Now
picks.
I'm checking in, and
You did
I
make
want to.
9 picks.
What I had nine
We asked
picks.
you for one team, and you gave us 9.
Yeah, you saw how my brain was working. But
Yeah.
I know that number one, I know that Dax loves the coach over there in Columbus,
He's got a
Wilford,
slight crush.
a little bit, and I
I'm
know
not
that
sure who
you.
likes who more. Does Dax like Nancy more, or does Kevin Egan like Leo Messi more? I'm not sure. They're
It's
one A
close,
and one
dude.
B.
It is close, and I know
No one
Dan.
will ever love anyone more than I love Nancy. Let's just put it that way.
That is very true. And Gargs, I know that you have been a big fan of Pat Noonan and that squad and Chris Albright. I
hmm
want to hear your guys' breakdown on how that game started. Started off with some fireworks. You thought it was going to go one direction, ends up going another direction. Thoughts from you, Gargs?
I was genuinely surprised to see the result, especially with the way that the game started. I thought Columbus, obviously, a couple of their goals were pretty lucky, and you could see that the game kind of turned. But the way that they started, I like Cincinnati at home. I think Cincinnati's really tough at home. So it is an incredibly valuable result for Columbus because it doesn't matter how you get the result. You walk into a derby game in their stadium and you put 4 on them. Doesn't matter how they end up in the back of the net. That's a big 3 points, and it's a
So
big
it doesn't. It doesn't matter. You're right. It doesn't matter. You're right. But what does it tell you about each team? What does it tell you about Cincinnati losing at home? And what does it tell you about Columbus going in there and battling back from two goals? What do those two tell you about the character of a team this point in the season?
No, I think that's a fair question. I think it gives me maybe a glimpse into some of the things that they need to work on, because if this result is any later in the season, it might tell me a little bit more. But because it's right now, I think it gives both coaches a real opportunity to turn the screws in a couple different ways with their teams. I think Pat Noonan now can walk back into that locker room and absolutely shred his guys and get them into a much better place, because they are an extremely good team. They are one of the best teams in the league. They have a very realistic opportunity to win an MLS Cup this year, and they haven't been good enough. And this is just a microcosm of the margins there that get you from being in that top echelon to being the best at the end of the season. So that's on the Cincinnati side. Columbus, same way. They weren't their best. They give up 2 goals, but they show the mentality that Nancy has put into this team to come back, win on the road, get a result on the road. They do play fearless. Like they go after results, and I love that about them. It gives him an opportunity to probably do the same thing, but in a little bit of a different way, because they're champs, right? They have done this. They know the drill, but now he's able to go in and say, hey, we were shit for the first half. We were not our best. We were not our best for the whole game, but I also love that you guys kept going. And we have leaders in this group. It's an opportunity to put a little bit more emphasis on the back of Darlington Nagbe and what he does. Put a little bit more emphasis on Rossi and just the special players that they are, to give them a little bit more of a boost in the middle of July when it is tough. It's tough to play. It's tough to keep yourself motivated. So I actually think that the result is really good for both teams.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Wilfred said. How can we be consistently like this? Dax, does this tell you more about Columbus moving forward, or does it say more about Cincinnati moving forward?
Cincinnati. We're gonna learn a lot about Cincinnati in the next day, 2 days. Guess who Cincinnati?
Why, hangover?
Guess who Cincinnati has coming to town tomorrow?
Miami.
Mr. Messi and Inter Miami. So
Mm-hmm.
here's what I'll say about Wilfred Nancy, because we know how much I love Wilfred Nancy. He makes adjustments in the game that I would say only can be compared right now to Mikey Veras at San Diego, whose in-game adjustments are so good that they constantly keep coaches guessing about how they're going to change things tactically. And it really doesn't matter if they're winning 3-0 or losing 2-0. They will be able to find adjustments to get their teams back in the game, because that's how good of coaches they are. I think Pat Noonan is still a top 5 coach in this league. I think he got it wrong tactically. When you are 5 minutes away from halftime, okay, and you are going to just continue to press Columbus and you're man-oriented, okay, you're asking for trouble. I love the way that Cincinnati started the game. They got 2 goals in the first 4 minutes, and they were just flying. They were on fire. It looked like it was going to be back and forth, and Cincinnati was essentially said, we are not going to let Columbus come on our field and do whatever they want in possession. Mm-hmm. But when you're 5 minutes from halftime, and Columbus has been getting back into the game slowly, I think it's foolish to put your press so high up the field with 5 minutes left that you are just inviting one mistake and one opportunity for Darlington Nagbe to be what Darlington Nagbe is. And if you watch Columbus's first goal, they just drag you into positions that you don't want to be in. Miles Robinson was man-oriented with Diego Rossi, and he was stepping into midfield aggressively almost every time. It was Pavel Buka, who was on Dylan Shambost, and you had Evander following Darlington Nagbe. Their movement absolutely pulled Cincinnati apart. You're so high up the field. Darlington Nagbe drives into an acre of space, and before you know it, Diego Rossi has the ball in the back of the net, 2-1 right before halftime. And then you're scrambling, and then Max Arfston, ball in the net, 2-2 before halftime, and before you know it, your head's spinning, and you don't understand what just happened. And then Columbus took control and won in the second half. So I think it's a good learning moment for Pat Noonan and this team to say, we have a 2-0 lead. We had a great half because they were fantastic. I think with 5 minutes left in the first half, it's not necessary to go and press on top of Columbus's box. You pull the troops in a little bit. You say, I dare you to break me down. You're not
but
conceding.
do you really believe that?
I do.
Dax, as a player, if you went in and you dominated the first half like you did, and you're like, it's harder to make adjustments when you're winning and dominating, right? And I understand
Yes,
they
of
scored
course.
right before, but as a player and a captain
Gordo,
that you were, would you be pissed at a coach telling you to drop off and now
Gordo, let me
take
tell you this.
pressure?
Let me tell you this right now because you make a good point. If I'm on the field, if I am Pavel Buka or Matt Miazga, and I see what
Pissed.
and I no, absolutely not. If it's 42 minutes left and Columbus has a goal kick, guys, let's just drop our line of confrontation a little bit. I am the one pulling us back. Why do we need to go and press Columbus on the top of their own box? I know it
Because
had
it was
worked.
working.
It was working, but Gordo, what do you think the best teams and best coaches do? They adjust. That's my point. Is that Wilfred Nancy saw something. He made the adjustments, right? If you watch the goal, Dylan Shambost is 1v1 with Buka. Buka is the player that's supposed to sit in the middle of the field with Brian Anunga and make sure that there is no space to play into. Dylan Shambost pulls him all the way out wide. Darlington Nagbe skirts around Evander, and then there's no one else in the middle of the field. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I feel like that's a self-inflicted wound that is not necessary. Why do you, with 5 minutes left in the first half, have to continue to do what you do and do? Even the best teams in the world, Gordo, even the PSGs of the world, if they are 2-0 up on a team, they're going to pull back with 5 minutes left before the halftime. I'm sorry, they will, because it's just in the context of the game, it's just smart. Okay? So again, I understand your point. And I think that Pat Noonan, I don't know if he would say he wanted to be aggressive the entire half and he would ask his players to do the same thing. That's just my opinion. Watching how the game played out, I wouldn't have done that. But
I,
I think
Dax,
Noonan will learn from this. I think Cincy will learn from this. Matt Miazga and Noonan came out and said, listen, we know where we made mistakes, which they aren't going to come out and say that, but they've obviously watched it. Now let's see how they respond. I hope Nancy and Columbus don't take this result and say, "Hey, we're so good, we still don't need to add a number 9." I still want them to add a number 9. Wilfred Nancy is so confident, bordering on arrogant, that I feel like he'll take a result like this and go to ownership and be like, "See, look what I can do. Don't
he
don't
might.
need another number 9."
I want to hear Gargs' reaction to that, and then I got something else for you, Gargs,
Yeah.
right after that.
the
Gargs,
only
do
thing I
you
want to
agree?
add, I think Dax is spot on with the assessment. The only thing I want to add in watching Cincinnati, I think one of their Achilles heels is just some of that, maybe a little bit of a cavalier attitude in their press. Like I think some
Yeah.
of their guys just go rogue at times, and I don't know. Obviously, I don't know. But it does seem like at times the moments where they choose to go, I find myself like put my hands up and be like, why are you going there? Or why are you tracking there? Like the moment that Dax is talking about, Vander, phenomenal player, special player. I'm putting Nagby. I'll take Nagby over Evander in the midfield in possession to
Of
exploit some
course.
of that
Of
space all
course.
day
Because
long,
Evander
right?
doesn't want to defend him.
He doesn't have any interest in it. So I think some of that is I see. I think Dax's point is spot on. We're going to learn a little bit about Cincy and whether or not Nunes can maybe just rein some of that freewheeling, which also makes them who they are. But I think they tend to leave their shape maybe a little too just kind of nonchalantly, where they just go and it looks a bit disjointed, and it hurt them.
Yeah, I'm always for being aggressive, especially at home. I think on the road,
Gordo, of
I would
course.
agree with you a little bit more, but I like to be aggressive. Yeah, and they got
Yeah,
to
but
work on their
the
press.
context of the game, buddy. That's all I'm saying. I
I
agree
know I
about
get
being
what you're
aggressive.
saying, but the point I would take, besides retreating, because I always hated that, especially at home. I understand that away, but the only thing that I would say is that they, instead of finding a different strategy, they need to be better and more jointed as a press and work on it that way.
Yeah.
Last question about this game. Gargs, do you think that this is quickly becoming the best rivalry in the MLS?
I think right now it's got to be up there. And I think you have Dax hit the nail on the head. You got two top five coaches in the league. You have two really good rosters. It's entertaining. The atmosphere in Cincinnati is top five easily. The atmosphere in Columbus is a lot of fun, and you're playing against the champs. Like there's I don't know if I'll come up with one that is better soccer.
So right now they're the strongest. They're the strong. Is it just because the strength of the two teams, or you think that
Yes, that's why it's the best
Totally.
rivalry for me because two teams that are excellent. El
yeah,
Trafico is the
They're
more
not two excellent teams.
exactly.
Yeah.
El Trafico is more unhinged and probably more entertaining for the neutral, but
Mhm.
Hell is Real has the most quality, no question about it. All
So
right,
hell is real.
Hell is real for one of those teams, certainly right now. Good stuff, Gordo. Let's take it to the Open Cup because Dan, if I remember correctly,
Woo!
said he wouldn't be able to find an Open Cup game unless he stumbled drunk on it after a late
Uh,
night out. And then
tripped over and fell on it.
a few days later, he tripped over and fell on a couple Open Cup games. And so I just want to make a quick point about my Nashville prediction. Don't I know it was DC United, but they did go down 2-0 to DC United and came roaring back to win 5-2. I still feel
Nashville got a
really good.
coach fired.
That exactly. I still feel really
Sorry.
good about my Nashville to win the Open Cup pick. The New York Red Bulls Philly game got delayed. I think I got moved to August 13th. Minnesota United moved on. And then what was the other game? I'm blanking
San
here.
Jose. San
San
Jose,
Jose,
Austin.
San Jose, Austin. Austin takes it on penalties, and so I'm looking at
The
maybe like
snoozer of the three.
yeah, I'm looking at maybe a Nashville Minnesota final, two teams in the best form. But Dan, how did you stumble upon the Open Cup?
Dude, I told you, I tripped and fell on my couch, bumped into the remote, and all of a sudden there was an Open Cup game on. At
Hey,
least, at least I outed myself. I could have just sat there and watched the games and been like, no, I can't tell these
I
guys.
can't
Which
do this.
I did,
Yeah.
I did contemplate. But man, it was interesting. So I was watching, which game was I watching? The Minnesota Chicago game. And I turned it on, and of course, the first, the camera pans to the midfield, and there's literally no one in the stands. And I was like, I just put my hand on
Mhm.
my head, and I was like, oh my God, what is going on? And then I saw Omar got thrown out in the fourth minute or fifth minute, and they kept showing that replay. And
Omar,
I
what do you
just,
do? What our boy,
dude,
friend of the pod? What do you
he
do?
punched Gressel in his face.
No, he didn't.
He did, but come on, Gargs, that wasn't
No,
intentional.
I listen. This is so like it was one of those bang bang plays, and I guess I probably disagree with the red card, but I also understand why they gave it to him. It's one of those moments where like you're trying to shake free from your
Corner kick.
defender, right? So
Corner
Omar
kick.
is wrapped up in a corner, Gressel's defending him, and he makes a quick movement to run to the corner, and his hand goes straight into Gressel, and Gressel goes down like he got hit by Tyson. I mean, Gressel sold it well and got him the red card. I think
That's crazy.
Omar probably it was a little on the aggressive side as well of like his movement, but it's not a red card for me.
You
It
can't
happens
give
all
a
the time,
red for
especially in
that.
the box. It's just kind of it's a little soft. I I just found myself revisiting my feelings of the Open Cup in playing in the Open Cup and really kind of liking the nostalgia of it. Like I do really love it. I was also really disappointed to see that half the stadium was completely empty. It looked like an
Yeah.
MLS 2 game. The environment was so lax, and that was not representative of what I would like to see. So
Why?
but I did enjoy tuning in. I can't lie. I was like, oh man, Open Cup. I still think that it has a place in this league. I just don't know where it sits now.
Of course it does.
It, of course, it's always going. An open is one of the greatest things about sports, where you can have a dark horse from lower divisions. Even Dax freaking played in it this year, which is crazy.
Demar Menace, baby.
You know, but like it is an awesome concept, but they have not made it better in 25 years.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, they have not. There's nobody goes to these games. It's just I wish it could have a better following. I wish that
You
players
like to
could
see a little bit more weight put behind it.
some more weight, dude. Make
What are
it
the semis? What are the semi matchups? Do we know?
It's going to be Nashville against the winner of Philly Red Bull.
Philly, New York. Okay.
Yeah, and then it's going
Philly
to
just beat
be
New York too
Why is
they
in
did
regular
in
season.
regular season play, and then it's going to
Yeah.
be Minnesota hosting Austin. And then if Minnesota wins, they would host the final, I think.
In
I think it's a
Minnesota.
little disappointing. There's no lower level teams that have climbed the ladder this year. Is that more MLS rosters are deeper these days, and they can.
I think so. I think so. I just still think there's a gulf between MLS teams and USL teams. I mean, it's just a fact. It is what it is.
Is it getting bigger?
The Gulf?
Yeah.
Probably.
Is this the Gulf of America we're talking
Gulf of
about, or the Gulf
America.
of
Hey,
I
Mexico?
that's our
would
boy.
I
That's
would
our boy.
I would say it's getting bigger. But look, I still think that we will see a lower level team at some point who invests wisely and has some really talented players. I think that a lower level team will win it eventually, but it's not to be this year. All right, boys, let's move on to something you guys know absolutely nothing about, and I'm the only one that does, the All-Star Game. Uh,
Bullshit. I've watched a lot of All-Star games in my life.
Me too. All of them.
all right,
Which is
boys,
what all three of us are doing right now.
that was probably unnecessary, slightly aggressive.
It's
A
okay. I'm
couple.
just polishing my ring over here. No worries.
Oh, okay, we're going there. I love it.
Wedding ring,
Let me call
wedding
Dustin
ring.
McCarty up, have him ship that LA Galaxy championship ring. Then we'd all have a Galaxy championship ring. Okay, All-Star editions. We're not sure who's dropping out yet. I think Patrick Agyemang will be out because he is being transferred to Derby County. But there were 6 additions to the MLS All-Star team. All of them deserving, in my opinion. Marco Pasalic from Orlando City, Sam Surridge, Hani
hmm
Mukhtar from Nashville, Carlos Hill, Christian Espinoza, and Obed Vargas from Seattle. So before we get into the additions, I just kind of want your guys' general thoughts on what the All-Star game is nowadays. Are you guys interested? It's obviously MLS against Liga MX again, but they added a skills challenge, which I find pretty intriguing. Let's start with you, Gordo. What are your thoughts on the All-Star game? Are you excited about it? What do you think about the newish format?
I'm buying it. I'm buying it. I'm generally not a fan of like the skills competition. I wouldn't tune in to any other sport, like maybe
Yeah,
basketball with the 3-point contest, stuff like that, dunk contest, which is a kind of a joke these days. But I'm kind of buying it, dude. I think it's fun.
yeah,
The last 2 years I've watched with my kids, they love it. And I think there's some cool games that they're playing that get pretty competitive, and you get to showcase how special these players are. So I'm buying it as a whole. I know Gargs doesn't always like the Mexico versus US thing. I find it really intriguing. I always want to beat Mexico, and so it brings that level of competition back into me. So I'm buying it all. I love the skills competition. I like how Sox is down on the field talking to players.
yeah.
I mean, even though most of them don't speak great English these days, but we are getting their opinion, and they are trying to communicate the
Engage
best
with
that they
Sash.
can. Yeah. So I'm buying it all the way. I'm a fan.
Gargs?
I'm gonna take the other side, and and not because I disagree with Gordo, because I agree with a lot of what Gordo's saying. I love seeing our players play. So MLS players, I would love to see more MLS players on the All-Star roster. I would love to see more MLS
Yeah.
players on the field. And then the other piece of this that like I can't disagree with Gordo because the the MLS All-Stars versus the Liga MX All-Stars does add an element of competition to the game, and I appreciate that. And I actually the game is good.
Yeah.
However, I'm seeing MLS teams play against Liga MX teams, and I feel like I have a good fill there. I don't need to see them play in an All-Star game. I like the skills competition. I like the format. I think All-Star games as a whole are kind of a joke to just in general.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I really need that competitive aspect of having to play a Liga MX because we've talked about this on almost every episode. We are oversaturating players right now. There's a lot of competition. And the All-Star break, in my mind, is a celebration. It's not use these next 4 days to really kind of prepare for what I guess could argue be a meaningful game. And it's probably unfair to use it, which people do as a measuring stick between MLS and Liga MX. And I think that's kind of a contradiction to the spirit of the game. So I would probably sit on the other side of things and I'm selling it.
I think you guys both make very compelling points. I tend to lean towards Gargs' argument just because I would love to see more players in our league get celebrated. I mean, dude, there are so many good players in
So
Major
many
League
good
Soccer now.
players.
There are 30 teams.
Yep.
It's the biggest, one of the biggest professional sports leagues there is. There's so much quality now. It's not like back in the day when we played, the dinosaurs and we only had 12, 13, 14 MLS teams, right? Like I think it's cool that we have this competition with Liga MX. I think both leagues are growing because of it. I think we're growing our audience and our fan base, right? With maybe getting a couple Liga MX fans that see the MLS All-Stars play, or they see the MLS teams play a little bit, and maybe they'll go to a game and they'll hop on board, right? So I think we are kind of gaining a couple new fans in that way. But I just would love to. I love seeing players, great players, celebrated, right? And to a certain extent, the All-Star game, let's be honest, you want to see a mixture of both. You want to see the big stars, even if they don't deserve to be there. And also, you want to see the guys that are deserving of being there with their play, because that's what an all-star game is, right? So I see the balance.
I have a solution. I have a solution. We add
Okay.
another game to the schedule. We do one MLS heavy, both sides, and then we do one with Mexico. We just extended a
Just
whole
another
other
game.
week. Yeah,
Yeah,
another
let's do
game.
it. I
Let's
love
do
it.
it. It'll be great.
Honestly, that's the dumbest idea I've ever heard in my life, and
It'll
I
be
think
great.
we're all dumber now for having
all
listened to
all
that.
we're doing is adding games. Let's add another.
Just
Oh,
add some more
Gordo.
games.
Just add another one. Why not? What? Let's do three. Let's just do a Mexican team, an MLS one, and then a European
Arsenal.
team.
Yeah.
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 All right, let's button it up with this. All right, you guys saw the new additions. You know who's on the All-Star team. Let's give some guys some love that aren't there. You've got your commissioner for the day. You've got two players that aren't on the All-Star team or weren't added to the All-Star team late that you can now add right now. Who you going with, Gargs? Two guys.
So I gave this some significant thought here, and I like the guys that were already added. So I'm gonna throw you an idea. I want to throw an idea to you. The All-Star game, going back to my point, is it's about celebration, but I think it is a fan fest, right? That's kind of how I see it. And I would love to see, now having experienced the TST and having experienced the 7v7 and some of the stars that were a part of this game, I would love to see two players be brought back from the league. So players that gave their careers to MLS, bring them back into an all-star game. We got plenty of players that are still playing. They may only be able to give 10 minutes. They may only be able to do the warm-up and be out
that's
there.
crazy. Yeah.
But I would
Garg
love to
still
see.
wants a call up.
He wants the call up. He
I'm
thinks
advocating.
he thinks it would count on his Wikipedia page.
Don, hello.
Don.
It's a commissioner's pick. I'm giving you the power, Don. You have my number.
You know what, Gargs? That's not the worst idea in the world, right? Like you call up
That's not the worst.
You call up
No.
Bastian Schweinsteiger, you call up Cuauhtémoc Blanco, and you say, "Hey, boys, hop on the field for 10 minutes. Let's see what happens."
How about we bring Zlatan back in? Like you're telling me people wouldn't tune into that? That wouldn't be fun? We couldn't get like
Total
some
circus. Yeah, you're right.
It would
That's a
be fun.
great
It would
idea.
be fun, but it would
Total
make a mockery of the league, just like Gordo's saying.
It would.
But they have put in their time. So maybe it's not Zlatan. Maybe
cannot
it's
believe
Nick,
Dak
maybe
said-
it's Nick Raimondo
It's
and
a
Josie
fun
Altidore.
idea. Sure,
I like it.
Whatever.
I
Hey,
think it's the
listen,
dumbest
let me
idea
add
I've
one
ever
little
heard.
one,
So that's
one
two
little layer
dumb
on.
ideas.
One little layer on. You are creating fans, right? We're building fans. We're building lifetime relationships with these people. Bring the alumni back into the fold in different ways. There's a lot of guys that can still give you 10 minutes.
Have an alumni game for 10 minutes. There you
Okay,
go. Add
maybe we
another
do a
game.
trip. Let's do a
Add
triple
another
header
game.
then.
There you go.
Triple
Is that
header.
Is that a
One
dumb
thing-
idea?
One thing that I know is coming out of this podcast, if nothing else, it's that the higher ups at MLS will see this and absolutely never call you guys for any ideas. Gordo, who you got? Two guys you want to add?
Okay, I'm going.
Alumni game
going,
2027. You heard it here first.
I'm going against my gut, and I'm going to pick like the MLS traditionally picks. So my two guys are going to be Callan Sullivan because Cavan. Yeah, that's what I said. I said Cavan. Run it back.
Callan.
Sure.
Callan.
You said Kevin with an L, you dipshit.
Two L's, actually. There was a very big
Is it Calvin?
accentuation on the L's.
Is it
Yes.
Calvin? Brian?
Cavan.
Cavan Sullivan, because Freddie Adu made the MLS All-Star team in 2004 and scored 5 goals total.
That's unbelievable.
I
Fair point.
had more goals. And then I'm bringing Rodrigo DePaul because he hasn't been signed yet. And we always bring and the MLS always brings the newest signing, whether it's
Oh my
Zlatan
God.
or
Stevie G.
Schweinsteiger, Stevie G. They all
Yes.
go to the MLS All-Star game. So those are
All
the
right.
two
This is
Typical MLS.
two
This
of the
bit-
most. This is
this-
two of the most MLS answers you're ever gonna
This
see.
bit has
in
gone
your-
completely off the rails. It's insane. Let me actually be the professional here and give two guys love that absolutely deserve to be there.
That's why you get invited back, Dax. Get in here.
Yeah, give us some
Philadelphia-
substance.
Philadelphia Union, Donley Jean-Jacques, defensive midfielder who's been
Okay.
insanely good this year. The guy's
Mhm.
been fantastic. Defensive midfielders, they don't put up goals, they don't put up assists. They deserve love too. Get him on here. And then a guy that I've argued should be in the top 5, 6 of the MVP conversation at this point in time right now, Tani Oluwaseyi. He's been excellent for Minnesota United. He's top 5 or 6 in the league in goal contributions, 9 goals, 8 assists. I thought it was going to be Kelvin Yeboah for Minnesota United who was going to carry them. It's actually been Tani. He's breaking his way into the Canadian men's national team. He will be on that World Cup roster next year. And he's just been great, man. And we had him on MLS 360. He's a great interview. Just a fun guy. And I would love to see him at the All-Star game. So there you go.
Serious answer. Sebastian Berhalter. He's been good too.
I'm pretty sure he's there.
Is he?
Just FYI. Yeah.
Okay. Well, they did their job.
There you go, Gordo.
Hey.
You did it. You got to go to the
Gordo
All-Star
doing his
game.
homework. Yeah, here we go, babe. You're just right in line with everybody else.
Yeah.
Well, hey, fellas, that was a good one. Dax, appreciate you jumping in here on vacation. Gordo, just keep on keeping on, man. All right. Whatever
growing the
you're
mustache,
using, that
buddy.
Miracle Grow on that upper lip, let's stick with it. Are we going? Can we get some chops, or what are we thinking
I don't
additional? Is there
I would
anything
if
additional?
I could, brother. I would if I could.
Okay. All right. Well, till next time, journeyman. Adios.